So imagine this. A state is about to go all in on tourism, promising a massive economic boom. But lurking behind those exciting headlines is a huge, huge financial question mark. So we've got to ask, is this a genius move or a financial time bomb? Let's dig in. Let's start with the number at the very heart of this story. Nearly 4,000 crore rupees. I mean, that is a staggering amount of money, and it happens to be the price tag for an incredibly ambitious plan. And hey, at first glance, you'd think this is amazing news, right? It's being pitched as this game-changing investment, the kind of thing that could create a world-class tourism industry and completely reshape the state's economy. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? The moment you peek behind the curtain at the state's actual finances, well, the picture gets a whole lot murkier. Because here's the thing you have to understand. This huge plan, with all 254 of its different projects, isn't just happening on its own. It's landing right in the middle of a really, really tight financial reality. So check out the state's books for the coming year. They're planning to spend over 25,000 crore, but their income? Yeah, that's only about 23,500 crore. You do the math, and you see they already have to borrow over 2,000 crore just to cover their normal costs. And that's before a single rupee is spent on this massive new tourism plan. And that brings us to the really scary question, the one at the heart of all this. In a system that's already stretched and already borrowing, what happens if this gigantic new project goes over budget? The options are not great. Do you borrow even more? Stop paying the people doing the work? Or just walk away from half-finished projects? So, how likely are these cost overruns? Well, you know what they say in public finance? The best crystal ball is just looking at what happened yesterday. So let's do that. Let's look at the state's track record. This all comes down to a really important idea called budget credibility. And honestly, it's pretty simple. It's just, does the government actually stick to its own financial plan? If they have low credibility, it means what they say they'll spend and what they actually spend are two very different things. Which brings us to this absolutely jaw-dropping number, 50%. What on earth could that mean? Well, get this. It means that in the last fiscal year alone, the state's actual spending on big projects, we're talking capital spending here, was a full 50% higher than what they originally put in the budget. I mean, wow, that is the definition of low budget credibility. And this chart just lays it all out, plain as day. On the left, you've got the plan, what they said they'd do. And on the right, reality, a 50% overspend. Now, if that's their track record, you've got to ask yourself, what happens when they take on a project that's even bigger? So this is it. This is the fork in the road. This massive tourism investment can go one of two ways, and they are worlds apart. And the source material really hits the nail on the head here. It warns that without some serious management, this plan could become a debt and delay machine instead of the growth engine it's supposed to be. That's a trap we've seen other places fall into, and it is not pretty. Okay, so let's break down these two possible futures. On one hand, you have the growth engine. This is the dream, right? The finances are tight, projects get done on time, and the economy just booms. But on the other side, you have the debt and delay machine. And that's the nightmare scenario. We're talking missed payments, budgets blowing up, and just getting stuck in a cycle of borrowing more and more money. The gap between those two outcomes is absolutely massive. So how do they stay on the right path? How do they avoid that nightmare? Well, it's going to take what the source calls unusually strong discipline. And that's not just a buzzword. It means ironclad control over contracts, super strict management, and being totally open about where the money is going. And frankly, given their recent history, that is a very, very high bar. But listen, this isn't a done deal. The story isn't written yet. There are ways for us, for citizens and observers, to actually track this and hold them accountable. Here's what you need to be looking for. The source gives us two really simple but super powerful things to do. Think of them as verification tasks. First, demand a plan, not just a vague promise, but a detailed year-by-year financing plan for all 254 of these projects. We need to see what's actually funded versus what's just wishful thinking. And second, track the money. We have to watch the quarterly fund releases and compare them to the work that's actually getting done. That's how you spot the warning signs of that debt and delay machine before it's too late.
And so, at the end of the day, we're left with this one big question. This project, worth almost 4,000 crore rupees, is standing at a crossroads. Is it going to be a landmark for tourism that powers the state's economy for decades? Or is it going to become a giant monument to debt? Really, the answer is going to boil down to those three little words: discipline, transparency, and credibility.